It's our pleasure to welcome you here to NBC News Daily, where we start with Hurricane Melissa carving a path of destruction through the Caribbean. As we speak, Melissa is still on the move, leaving Cuba and battering the Bahamas.
It comes after the monster storm made a record-shattering landfall in Jamaica yesterday as one of the most powerful hurricanes of all time in the Atlantic. It was a Category 5 storm, 185-mile-an-hour winds when it struck. Take a look at the sheer force of this storm. The entire island has been declared a disaster area. Today, Jamaican officials said it is still unclear how many people may have died, and the scale of the damage is still very much being assessed.
Videos are emerging of the devastation in western Jamaica. In fact, you can see police officers here picking through the wreckage there in Black River. That was right there near the eye wall.
NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns is following the path of destruction left by Melissa right now. So let's talk about where the storm is now, Bill, and where the most urgent threats are.
Yeah, the weather in the southern Bahamas is going downhill in a hurry. It's beginning to improve in areas of eastern Cuba. Jamaica, sunny. Totally fine weather today to get the assessment done and to begin, some of the getting people help that need it. So the storm itself is located heading now almost into the Bahamas. You notice the bright red here on the clouds. That's where the heaviest rain is, and the thunderstorms and the strongest gusty winds will be heading there. The storm is moving much quicker now, up to 14 miles per hour. When it went over Jamaica, it was only moving at like 5 to 8 miles per hour. So it's quickly going to move through the Bahamas. By this evening, it'll be gone, it'll be done, and then it doesn't look like it's going to hit anyone else. It's still raining pretty hard, though, from Guantanamo all the way through eastern portions of Cuba. So it's going to be a little while before their weather begins to improve. This is the strongest Atlantic landfall on record. They'll go and, after, the season's over the winter, they'll go, analyze all the data they got. And it may even shift up to the biggest, strongest ever in post-analysis. So here's a look at the current winds. A lot of the wind gauges have stopped working there in Cuba, of course, as the storm went through, and the same for the Bahamas. But, some of the stronger gusts are going to be right through that southern portion of the Bahamas. That's where the hurricane warnings are. Also, hurricane warning there for Bermuda. And this is how it plays out. By the time we get to about 11 p.m., it's done with the Bahamas, and it now looks, guys, to miss Bermuda, so that's good for them. And some of this moisture will get drawn up into Maine and the Canadian Maritimes. But, Melissa, after we're done with this evening, the destruction will be over with.
But we are getting, though, deadly reports of a situation unfolding in a coastal town in Haiti after the banks of a major river there burst. Can you talk to us about the dangerous conditions in some of these countries, even after that storm moves out of the area?
Yeah, so about 5 days in a row now, we've had a southerly flow into the southwestern peninsula here of Haiti. And you can see all the bright reds here. So these are they're not direct feeder bands into the storm, but this is tropical moisture out ahead of Melissa. And that continues over this high mountainous terrain. It just wrings that moisture out. These were the spots that the Hurricane Center was saying could get up to 40 inches of rain. We don't have rain gauges in these areas, and the weather systems aren't like what we have here in the U.S. But we do know from satellite estimates, some areas have gotten a couple feet of rain. So it's not a surprise that we're now starting to hear these stories of these rivers, even in Haiti, far away from the center, didn't get a landfall, but you could just see that tropical moisture. Yeah. And for that matter, some of it's even moving over the high terrain of the Dominican Republic, too. So we'll all be happy when we get rid of this storm and, we can begin cleanup in many different countries.
Well, thank you for bringing us through it step by step. Bill Cairns, thank you.
Let's go and bring in NBC News reporter Ed Agustin, who is in Cuba following the latest from Havana for us there. Ed, we are seeing these powerful images coming out of Santiago de Cuba, which is on the eastern side of the island, obviously different from where you are, where things look, relatively better on the western side of the island there in Havana. But here, looking at the pictures, you can see family salvaging belongings from the rubble of their home. Are we hearing anything yet about the scale of destruction left behind?
Well, thankfully, at the point that I'm speaking to, there have been no confirmed casualties, no confirmed fatalities. But yeah, absolutely, the images that we're starting to see trickle out of the east of Cuba, both on social media and from the news agencies, are devastating. We're seeing the homes that have collapsed in many an eastern province. We're seeing flash flooding in Santiago de Cuba, which is the second city. There have also been mudslides around Santiago de Cuba, so very, very scary for those in the States and those in Western Cuba that have got relatives worrying about mudslides of all things. So the pictures that we have are evidence that a huge hurricane swept the island, and the amount of territory that it covered, it's going to take a long time to really to really take stock of the full level of damage. I think the other thing I'd say is that there was an awful lot of rivers, especially in the provinces of Granma and Holguin, flooded, and flooded an awful lot more than people were expecting last night. And some of the images of the amounts of flooding in a lot of municipalities in northeastern Cuba are really quite scary to watch.
All right, Ed Augustin there on the ground in Cuba for us. Ed, thank you.
Well, there are many Americans stuck in Jamaica right now, and yesterday we spoke with one South Carolina family who rode out the storm from inside their hotel room in Montego Bay.
David Watkins sent in the video before Melissa made landfall. We're going to play that video here on your screen, but this is essentially what the hotel looks like today. I don't know if we have that picture for you, but there is dirt, there is debris, there we go, lining the hallways, plus more mud and flooding outside on the streets.
We want to bring David Watkins in again with us now. He was gracious enough to connect yesterday. David, we talked with you actually the moment that Melissa hit, and you were describing hearing the whipping winds, the trees cracking, and really a sense of concern and fear for your family, but also all the people of Jamaica who were there. Tell us how y'all are doing today and what you're seeing outside in terms of the damage.
Right now, like they said, it was sunny. It's getting hot. Little minor stuff like air conditioning being out, so now all the buildings are condensating, which is making everything wet. They're feeding us, so as long as we got food, water, and some shelter, we're good there. We're just trying to find a way out. The reports we've been hearing is Montego Bay Airport could be anywhere from 3 days to 3 weeks out. And then we're trying to figure out if we would be able to get to Kingston. And we don't believe we would because of all the damage between here and there. So right now we're just in survival mode, trying to find a way out.
Frankly, I think we're happy to just see you and hear from you, because I know yesterday there was just so much going on. We were worried for you personally. I mean, we were hearing the things you were hearing outside. And how are your kids doing? How is your wife Paige doing? And did you feel safe, you know, when the brunt of that storm was hitting?
It was definitely the scariest thing I've ever gone through in my life. The winds, I mean, at home, Cat 2, Cat 3 comes through, and I'm one of the people that likes to go out and sort of be outside watching the trees and everything like that. I didn't even really want to leave the room. Most of the videos that I posted was after it was over with. The kids are doing great. I mean, obviously now they've seen the devastation of it, not understanding exactly what was going on while it was happening. And it's just little minor stuff, nails everywhere, glass everywhere, you know, trying to keep them out of it, and keep them occupied and entertained. Service has been spotty, Wi-Fi, cell service. Sometimes it will go through, sometimes it won't. I received a call earlier. I spoke with the head of, it's the Charleston Fire Chief. That's part of the South Carolina First Response Team that's working on getting people in to help with the recovery, and offered us a plane ride back if they can find a place to land. That's going to be the biggest issue. Congressman Russell Fry, where we're from, his office has reached out. Just the outpouring of friends and family has been tremendous. And I mean, obviously we're trying to get home, but even after we're home, I've been trying to get up with the people I know, you know, on the west end of the island, and I'm not getting them. I pray that them and their family are good. I'm hoping it's just bad cell service and they can't answer their phone, but they're still breathing.
We are hoping that too. David Watkins, Paige, to your kids, your family from South Carolina, thank you for talking with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Well, disaster relief efforts are ramping up across the country to support those hardest hit by Hurricane Melissa. Volunteers will spend the coming weeks packing supplies and essentials to ship to storm victims across the Caribbean. Meanwhile, we are getting some new details about a delay in aid on the federal level.
Yeah, sources are telling NBC News that the U.S. was delayed in sending a disaster assistance response team to Jamaica ahead of Hurricane Melissa due to the government shutdown and a lack of preparedness after the federal agency USAID was eliminated. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch is in Doral, Florida, where volunteers are gathering at the nonprofit Global Empowerment Mission to pack supplies for hard-hit Jamaica. Jesse, what else are we learning about the delayed aid, what our sources are telling us, and what that delayed aid at this point could look like?
Yeah, so hats off to our colleague Abigail Williams from our State Department team, who has put out this reporting, having spoke with a mix of both current and former U.S. officials. And this comes down to a twofold problem, according to this reporting. One, we're in the midst of this government shutdown, so you have some federal employees that are furloughed, considered non-essential, that may not be working right now. You also have had USAID, which, of course, we've been reported on extensively over many months about how that agency has had its resources and its ability to help people across the world severely curtailed. And so what we're looking at is a combination of those two things potentially impacting the ability to get an American governmental team on the ground ahead of this storm to be in position to help as things unfold. Because remember, as we're hearing about, you have communications issues. When I was earlier listening to a government briefing from Jamaica, 77% of the island was without power. So you can have the inability potentially to get quick communication between the U.S. and people on the ground there. And so if you don't have that forward advanced team, right, you'd be looking at how that might impact things. And just to zoom out, of course, it should, I think when you look at these images, guys, it hits you in the heart, right? You feel for your fellow human being. But just taking a more specific look at the impact from the American side of things, this is a country with a population of close to 3 million people. There are also millions of tourists who go there, and according to one of our colleagues' sources, the majority of those tourists are Americans. And of course, as you were just talking about there are American tourists who have been struggling to find a way out of Jamaica in the run-up to this storm. And so I think that is going to be one of the accountability questions in the aftermath of this, is just how this may be impacting U.S. citizens as well as just our community members in the broader region here in the Americas coming up, guys.
Yeah, well, we're glad to see that people are mobilizing and collecting aid to help, because this recovery will take months, if not years. Jesse Kirsch, thank you so much.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app, or watch live on our YouTube channel.